combat veteran. I've been in this arena probably for 15 to 17 years. I'm a videographer. I've done projects via um, Facebook and my own websites, Soldier's Perspective, Tactical American Patriots, and a few others to name a few of the projects I've done in the past. And anyway, Jay, go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself.
My name's Jay. I also go by Q-Tips. I've been a researcher and digital soldier now for the last 5 years. Thousands of hours of research and almost all topics since this mess has really come to the forefront. I can't say since it started because it started a long time ago, but since it has really been pushed to the forefront, and now it's time that we don't stand back. We got to make our voice heard. We're not the minority, and it's time that the Patriots rise up and we make our voice heard. And that's what we aim to do here with you guys. So hopefully you guys are along for the ride, and as we grow, uh, hopefully you guys grow as well with us.
Now, also, you guys can um, chat and we'll take a look at it based on the topic and time. We will make sure to get back with you. We are both family men and we both have lives. So you could hear any number of things in the background, including I have two dogs. We have families and kids and everything. So please bear with us, especially on this first podcast. Now, Jay, I was talking to you earlier, and I wanted to talk about a few different topics right off the top of my head here. And one of them that got brought to my attention almost immediately that I was asked for us to talk about, and actually you in specific, because of you being from that civilian perspective. So, top house Democrats call on Biden administration to extend eviction moratorium. So, what are your thoughts on that?
So I think they created this mess that we are in, and I believe that they should definitely extend this right now. But I also see the problem of extending it and keeping benefits going because it is creating such a negative impact on our workforce. Why work when you don't have to and you get paid the same, if not more? So,
The bonus
but
is based on state you're talking about, right?
right,
Yeah.
but taking away and now forcing people out of their homes when you basically smothered the small business industry, the entire market is devastated right now.
The utter unemployment just for the fact that still business owners couldn't stay open, right?
Right, and we don't have an unemployment issue. What we have right now is a CEO issue and them not wanting to pay our employees and our American workers what they're worth. And if that doesn't change, let them go out of business. Why work for them? But
Yeah.
let's take care of these things.
Yeah, my thoughts. Top House Democrats calling Biden administration to extend eviction. What immediately comes to my mind is this is almost direct proof of future lockdowns coming. They've got to prepare. Last time they didn't have this in place beforehand, and so it made panic even worse. But to me, you nailed it. But I also see this as something of a forecast of pretty much get your butt ready. We might be looking at some more lockdowns again. Now, from everybody I've talked to, and maybe you can let us know about sources maybe that you've confirmed with, but it looks like we're looking at a September October time frame. Is that kind of what you're hearing too, Jay?
So yeah, and by sources, I just really don't have like personal sources that call me. So I just want to clarify that for all our viewers. But what I do have is a keen sense of research and a lot of different avenues of where I find this information. Um, I'd be more than willing to show all of you guys how we come to those terms, but that's on a later podcast. Uh, but right now I see, you know, I don't want to be a date person because dates are neither here nor there. It's really at the
Yeah,
time
and
and everything,
anytime.
and any operation or any plans can change. But they're saying August 11th is a big day coming up. Supposedly that's when Arizona is going to actually fully unseal the results of all that um, election mishap. We'll try not to get kicked off Twitch on our first episode. And and so we really gotta come. We gotta see where that's
Usurper.
going.
Usurper is we'll just know this person as usurper.
Yeah. So August 11th is going to be the first big date, but I see the push right now: vaccinating kids, vaccinating the entire world, vaccinating now showing papers to go into businesses. Kumo came out this morning saying that he wants New York businesses to mandatory, you have to show them that you're vaccinated to shop. That's what we're going into. So yeah, September, I would say September, early September, fully expect to be locked down. And that's not going to be fun because this time nobody wants to be locked down.
Yeah, including my puppy here.
Yep.
Lay down. All right, so let's see. I wanted to also dive into what are your thoughts on the situation in Afghanistan? I'll be able to give maybe more of a military perspective on it, considering also I've deployed to Afghanistan. I have firsthand experience there. But what are your thoughts as far as what's currently going on in Afghanistan and that situation?
Afghanistan's tricky because I have a lot more questions for you since you've been there
Oh,
than
okay.
I know. Like
How do you feel about the situation? Like as a taxpayer in the United States, as someone who is definitely um, definitely someone affected by it, certainly, because I mean, like I said, you're a taxpayer. I mean, it kind of makes us all, it really makes us all involved if you think about it. But so in that perspective, what do you think? Like, do you feel like we should still be there? Do you feel like this is our problem?
I don't think we should be there. Do I think it's our problem? Absolutely. I think we created that problem.
Mm.
I think the politics behind it created that problem, and then we used our soldiers as the bad guys. Just threw them over there so that it could show that we were doing something, even though I feel we had arrangements and we still have deals with them um, from 9/11 and before that I think plays a big role. But my thing with, I think there's what we see here in America is a lot of propaganda because I don't think the Afghani people necessarily believe in what their leadership believes. And see, that's something you would know more of being on the ground, being
Mm.
firsthand with the people. I think there's what we see here in America isn't the real picture of Afghanistan. And I think the people over there are more wanting to be free and
Mm.
wanting our Western culture. Um, and they know, even though their religion may be different than ours, but they know they can coexist with Western values as a people, but the government wants to control the power and divide them. And it will be real interesting to hear what you say about the people.
Um, so I deployed there 2004 to 2005, and I was attached to. First, I showed up there with my artillery unit, and then I did patrols and vehicle checkpoints. It's like what you do when you normally arrive there. Kind of get you warmed up to the area. They send you out into kind of Kandahar, and it's kind of it's a greener area, meaning that the danger isn't so much there. A lot of times, like the vehicle checkpoints that we would set up, would be for like drugs and guns, and just making sure that we're not having Al Qaeda so close or Taliban so close. What I'm getting at is I got into the cities. I got for a time there. I was getting out and about and actually seeing the people, meeting the people, and it's crazy because a lot of folks don't know that they are very, very, very traditional as far as Islam, and you would say almost like an Old Testament way. Um, the way that they live is still pretty much 1900s America. Is the best way, and that's even women's rights. That is rights in general. A lot of the areas are still controlled by warlords, so you have groups almost like Mad Max. That's exactly how I can say it in certain portions of the country, like Mad Max, right? So I've traveled quite a bit of that country, and before I ended up at the SF camp, I would say that the people are starving for change. A sad story is I had met a Mujahideen fighter that had fought the Soviets, and I was stationed in 25th Infantry Division Hawaii. And I just so happened to have like this magazine that another troop gave me, and we were doing gate security until we pushed forward. So I have this magazine or whatever, and it's sitting next to me. It's like a little like Aloha type thing, you know. It's just one of those like 10-page brochures. Well, these guys, you know, the Mujahideen guys that were helping us, they're eating food and everything, and he looks over and he sees that. And you know, I'm still kind of looking out. At this point, I was on break, but still kind of more of a senior guy on post, you know, on that, in charge there. I was kind of second down, so I was still kind of keeping an eye out. Of course, you know, it's my brothers out there with a possible IED on a truck, right? So you're never chilling. But I remember hearing something, and I looked over, and he was crying. He was sobbing. Now, when you cry over there, the tears you could see almost like mud, you know, because you're just so dirty you're caked, right? And I'd asked him, you know, and mostly tried to clarify with a terp. They had decent English, but you know, the terp could fill in. He had never seen the ocean. He had
Damn.
never seen palm trees and like, you know, in paradise. He had no idea. This was one of the most inquisitive men on earth, okay? And so where I'm at is I'm ashamed that we have people in this modern age in society that we have the ability to share and help build these places up, right? I mean, we dump trillions, okay? Somehow, some way, you know, but I see this guy that has fought wars his entire life, never seen the ocean. So I know that these people want more. They see what we had, they see the stuff that we brought over, and they're like, we want that. We want to live that way. But they're held under control by warlords that don't want that way. They're held under control by the sheer amount of poppy and drugs, hash, other things. They were the number one supplier of heroin for Europe. Um, so, and I'm talking about poppy to the point where it makes Nebraska corn look weak. You could drive and it's poppy, 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 poppy. And I know there's other soldiers that can clarify that. And I'm really sorry for being long-winded, but it's to give you a good, solid idea of this people. Now, you just changed my perspective on something. And at first I was saying, not our problem. But then you mentioned something that hit home for me. We did create that mess. We created that mess all the way back to the 80s, and even before that. The British were there. A lot of people don't even know the British were there. I actually held an Einfeld, okay, from a cache in Afghanistan. So this country has just been war torn for so long. But we really did a number on them once we started getting involved with Osama. Once we started to get involved whenever we were trying to take out the Russians
I
that were
heard.
there. Go ahead.
So what I've heard is that we all know Iran has a lot of oil, um, but not as much as Saudi Arabia and the countries around it. I heard the real reason that Iran is so heavily guarded by whoever you want to call them, the powers above, um, is because of those poppy fields. And those poppy fields
I
aren't
thought that
just
that would get your attention.
that that those poppy fields just weren't grown by the Iranian people, and that there's three-letter agencies that had a lot to do with that out there. And that's a big reason why we don't get so involved.
Yeah, well, and I was actually just looking that up. It's funny you mentioned that because what I'm about to say isn't going to help your thought process on that at all.
I love rabbit holes. Let's go.
So, when I was there, 2004 through 2005, we started to take out the drugs. We were almost a damn drug enforcement agency. The first bust I ever had was 50 kilos of unprocessed heroin and about 5 pounds of hash. So, at first, we were taking out the drugs. We were burning the poppy fields. And then they were like, well, we don't need to do that.
Funny.
And so they said that they were like, well, it's turning these farmers against us. Well, I can tell you, the farmers were already against us regardless. They were getting the ones that are going to turn against us are going to turn against us, and they were already getting paid money from the Taliban to plant IEDs. They were just still growing because they were forced to grow. A lot of folks don't know that these farmers that are like, oh, they farm to make a living. No, they farm to freaking stay alive. You think the warlords over there are like, yeah, we're going to give you $9,000 for growing this poppy field? No, it's called you get to stay alive, and you're lucky if we give you enough money to freaking eat. But I thought it was pretty wild. My first superstition, of course, was the warlords started to complain. This is my money. You want to be here, so yeah. I think honestly that's the true reason why, and I'll stand behind that. So I know that doesn't help your
No.
viewpoint at all. Um, and unfortunately, where I was maybe a little too forward on the front lines as far as to see that stuff going on. More of that. You would imagine you're not wanting a whole lot of people to know about that, right? And those areas of protected poppy fields were not exactly in the red and black zones where the heaviest combat were. And that's another thing. That's another because I actually had a couple soldiers tell me, like, you ever notice that friggin' even the Taliban won't mortar their own poppy fields? Like.
So I talked to another guy. I went with my pops one day to the VA hospital, and there was a young guy sitting there waiting on my dad and everything. So I get talking to him, and he told me he was over there in Afghanistan. He goes, I always knew when shit get real tough, the safest place for me to be was in a poppy field because nobody ever wanted to shoot in there, burn it down, damage a poppy because it costs too much money and it made them too much money. So they knew the safest place to go was the poppy fields.
Man, people think the cartels are bad. Dude, the warlords in Afghanistan, they don't have cameras on them. They don't have all the stuff that would potentially keep them from maybe doing some of the more harsh stuff. The cartels are doing their thing, but they're still not just cutting up people on Al Jazeera, right? But what I'm getting at is the warlords are extremely savage. Okay, these people are warlords for a reason, and they're developed into these provinces. And we like to say that they have like this democracy over there, but as soon as we put any type of government into play over there, corruption city. It was a joke.
Corruption city here.
Yeah. Corruption City, wherever you go, basically, it damn near feels like. But, I think that, definitely the Afghanis need to take responsibility and stand up for themselves and not take it as a joke. Their Afghan National Army took it as a joke the entire time. I mean, maybe out of the 100% of them, 20% were actually taking it seriously and actually, learning and engaging and trying to fight for their country. The rest of them, we were essentially just training and giving them food and and just sending on their merry way. And in turn, guess what that did? We're training the enemy. They caught
Yep.
on pretty fast that all they have to do is volunteer. They get American food, they get American training, they get American lodging. You know what I mean? Like it. Why not? you know. So
It's
you.
like it's the same thing here. Why get a job now when you can make more being unemployed?
Well, the
It's
funny part is, imagine
the
going
same
to
thing.
sleep at night. You're thinking. People get it wrong. The freaking you're thinking that you need to have the enemy. You're watching out for the enemy. You are sleeping with the enemy.
They're
A lot
watching
of
you.
those guys are already in your camp. That's what a lot of folks don't understand is over there, there was enemy among us, there was enemy living among us, eating among us, and I'll tell you, we had a platoon of ANA form up and march out of our camp because they would not fight their family that was coming. It's no shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But anyways, let's push forward because I really want to get your thoughts on this too. So the and I really believe that this is another. Obviously, this is a distraction piece, but USA Today says we warned of Trump coup attempt in March of 2019, and we were right.
That's fun.
What
That's called projection.
what do you feel as far as their continued attacks on President Trump and what you think this feels like?
Uh, this feels like 1984. Uh, so the only sorry, the only coup that took place was the overthrow of the United States government when we'll call it like it was, right? When the police officers opened the front doors to the Capitol building and let people in and told them to go in.
Photos proving that too, by the way.
Yes, yes. Like,
Photo and video, but we're gonna pretend like it's not there.
right. And I mean, it was the most deadly attack on our Capitol with them in a single file line, staying within the rope barriers, not touching anything, sitting
In
on the floor.
costume. In
Yeah,
costume.
yep. The guy didn't even have a shirt on, but he was armed and dangerous. He didn't have a shirt on and a Viking helmet. Um, but that was dangerous. And the whole funny
And it
thing
was that
is
easy to overthrow
yeah,
one of the most powerful governments on this face of the planet. That's another thing nobody wants to acknowledge.
yeah. And then like I don't know what's worse. Like so they all get in there, and who's the first person to run the Capitol Police? So like why do our tax dollars even pay Capitol Police if they're just, oh my God, they breached the door, let's turn around and run. Um, so then they turned around and ran, and then we have political people. Now remember, this is all the same time that they're supposed to be talking about the election, and that was the whole thing. This opened it up so then they didn't have to come back in and finish off the votes or certify the votes, which should have never taken place, and we clearly see that now. But all this is just being slammed down our throat, and it's getting kind of every person. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, Marxist at this point. You're just tired of hearing about it. Like, leave Trump alone. Obviously, obviously that was the whole intent of this was you guys knew you couldn't beat him fairly, and you knew you couldn't continue on with world domination and enslavement if Trump was there. And you have to take, when Trump came into office, he took over in the middle of the plan. Like, he just popped in and disrupted their plan, and then in 4 years, completely
Yep.
derailed their plan. And now what we're seeing is they know they only have a short, limited number of time to get this plan back on track. And they know it's not forever. Um, and they're fast forwarding it, and that's what we're seeing now. and you're seeing state take over the world right now, and they're still blaming it on Trump. Well, we have to do this because of Trump. Um, and everybody's now jumping on Trump about the vaccine and everything like that. And that's kind of crazy because we have to remember too that even though the vaccine, we may not think it's safe, but if he did not come out with the vaccine, we would still be locked up in our basement. It would be 10 times worse. You wouldn't be able to look at your neighbor. It's already getting there. So I think that's the issue we're at. We got to leave. And the big thing is Trump is looking like he's trying to come back and not 2022, not 2024. He's trying to come back like what I hear is that August, September date that we talked about earlier, which I don't know how that's going to work because, and that's one perspective I think every civilian would like to know is, especially from somebody who served in I believe the greatest military to ever be on the face of the earth. Um, so when does our military just not take it anymore? Like when do they say, okay, I took an oath to protect these people, my family back home on United States soil. I know that they keep sending me to Afghanistan and Iraq to fake these faux wars,
Mm.
um, just so that I can't be here to defend my country. So at what point, and I understand there's a chain of command in the military, like, yeah, it's going to take a general, but to do this, it's going to take somebody really brave to break an order. And I don't know, like, how does that work? Like,
The
that's what
second,
civilians really want to know.
the second that something such as the force is going against the people, there will be a division among the military. Um, I would say 80-20, 20% that would serve their leftist people in belief that they're doing something great. But the
I'll take,
military has largely been more middle and right wing, but also at the same time, we didn't have psychopaths. So they're not just going to march on the street to hurt civilians. Like, I can't imagine this pressure that the National Guard were under during the riots and everything else when they had no ammo and were just getting yelled at in the face. I know for a fact that none of them would have. And if you've noticed, even in a situation I think where the president might have told them to give them ammo, the generals didn't give them ammo. Um, and a lot of folks laugh and say that's because the military's so soft. No, actually, that's because the people are so soft. The military loads a magazine, and obviously those were rioters and those were violent people, right? Obviously, those soldiers are going to have to take action. And in those situations, when they're looking at the true, when they're looking at, they're going to look at who the innocent people are and who the aggressor is. And they're going to identify that target quickly. The problem is right now is everybody's got families, everybody has got careers, everything like that. So what they're forcing now is only stuff making them, the only stuff poking the bear. So, the forced vaccinations, which I'm completely against, the military is always used as a guinea pig. So, Big Pharma already knows that they're getting their money from the government, via the service members. I mean, that's going to be a for sure. But the the fact is that the second that it goes to violence against innocent people, where it's some type of takeover or anything, there's no way. There is no way. We have previous generals that have retired or that are going to retire in the near future that would take command immediately. And my thing is, the 1%, they love to stoke the fires until it's almost there, and then they back off. The one thing that they know they need to keep control of right now is the military, and they can't lose control of the military. and they'll always deal with the human condition, which is emotion. They'll
So
always deal with loyalty and love and family and honor.
is Biden calling the shots with the military right now, or somebody else?
Biden is pushing out memos and orders. The generals, and oddly enough, I know people are like, "Well, you're prior service." Believe it or not, I'm still very close in the network in various division levels. I know quite a few people. The guys I served with are now sergeant majors and high level colonels and above. So, what I'm getting at is I know that what might be handed down, they're going to follow those orders, such as wearing a mask inside and all that other crap. They're going to put up with all that. But again, at the end of the day, the second he crosses the line, it's a no-go. There's no way. And I mean, I've reevaluated that 15 times. And that's why I only give 20%. There's going to be a few that just can't let go, and they're going to say that, the right wing or middle or, not the way, right? They're going to feel like they're Mandalorians and they need to fight these evil people. But I promise you, the military is definitely one on our side. Now, where I'm going to get concerned is the larger parts of the three-letter agencies that don't tell anyone where their allegiances are, except for when the emails and cell phone texts are leaked. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then they want our brave military to come bail them out in the middle of their crap.
Yeah.
Come save me. Risk your
I
team,
don't
not mine.
think that there's any more proof that you usurp a presidency by having thousands upon thousands of soldiers at the White House.
So we've been talking some pretty deep stuff here. I wanna bring you up on something and see if we can lighten the mood a little bit. And I want your take on this. I think you're gonna love this one. All right. So let's talk
Sweet.
about Laurel Hubbard.
Okay.
You know who she is, right?
Yes, the transgender
I guess.
athlete that is crushing women's souls right now.
I guess. So do we use the correct pronoun? Is it she, he? How does this work?
I believe it's now a she.
Okay.
So, in my opinion on it, from the start, these girls worked extremely hard to get to where they want to go, and they worked extremely hard to get the records that they've got. They've worked extremely hard to get to try to get the scholarships that they want, to be positioned among, there's a lot of sports have rankings, right? And recruit rankings and everything else. So imagine your son or daughter, especially your daughter, competing, and she's, trying to get this record. She's trying to get all these different things to set her up for success, right? And then this 300-pound bruiser comes pulling in and just totally dominates and breaks your records and breaks all the records. And then you're like, well, my resume's shot. I know that there is a story of someone that lost a scholarship opportunity. They obviously had other opportunities, but their first pick was gone. And there isn't just this one person. There's several, especially even in high schools. But my thing is, there's one. It is cheating. You can do hormone suppression, yes, but you can do that hormone suppression to, the millimeter of what you're allowed to have as far as testosterone levels in your body. This person is clearly still thriving off of, yeah, they have the puffiness from freaking the estrogen, but my God, this is still a fully testosterone individual. And I can't imagine this person is probably still burning through Mach 3s just to get daily, just to take care of everything, right? But the end result is, no matter what, and I've never had an argument to this, to make it fair across the board, you make a trans league. You make a trans league where all of the transgender people that want to compete can compete, We do the same thing for the Special Olympics. We do the same thing for like the Paralympics. If I don't know if you really want to put that all together, but and we do it between genders, male and female sports. But in this situation, there's no controls in place to prove without a shadow of a doubt, outside of my opinion on this, biological order, science, right? But in my opinion, they need their own league, and maybe you can get into that more.
Oh, they definitely should have their own league. We should call it the WSG, the World Science Games. And this is where we could have like the clones come to battle. We could have all of like DARPA tech out there, and it would just be great. China versus America, technology wars. It would be great. We would lose, unfortunately, but it would be great. But I want to go back to Laurel here. So she makes this big thing, right? She made history on Monday as the first transgender athlete to compete at the Olympics. Here's the best part. Hubbard failed to register a lift and a snatch in the 87-kilogram category. By failing to record a lift, she couldn't move on to a clean and jerk and would not compete for a medal. So, basically, Laurel just put on an Olympic gold medal marketing campaign for herself. That's basically all that was. She used all that to fight, push, didn't even compete, couldn't do it. So basically that was just a marketing scam to push narrative through the Olympics after the Olympics said that they weren't going to have any narratives being pushed, and clearly narratives have been pushed throughout the entire Olympics, which has been crazy.
Every country trying to get their own taste in there.
And
yeah, I'm looking at this picture of this individual, and this looks like maybe like an Uncle John or like Uncle Phil. Okay, I'm looking at what looks still like a man. Like I mean, I'm looking, and then I'm seeing the musculature and the bone structure of a male.
Also, while we're on the Olympics, real quick, let's clear some things up. Like, I don't understand. Like, how does America have a team and Puerto Rico have a team? Whoa, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't get that. And we lost a medal to the Puerto Rican team. Like, doesn't that count for us too? Like, don't we get like some credit of that? Like, what's going on with that?
All the Puerto Ricans I knew were extremely fun people, and they just don't give a shit about. They do them, bro.
It's just crazy, like. And then like then you watch the Olympics, and there's like 3 different China teams. Like, how do they get 3 different countries in their own country to medal? Like, that's cheating. Like,
dude, and they're leading in the medals. Like, China right now is slaughtering.
Well, we have more medals. They have more gold than us. That's because our swimmers didn't win a lot of golds this year. But that's okay.
Yeah, China at 29 gold.
But we are definitely leading in the gold medal and social justice warring at the Olympics. So we have the first ever platinum medal in that.
Oh, just up. Released 1 hour ago, Matt Damon blasted for use of homophobic slur. They're gonna cancel Matt Damon now.
Yeah, no, they won't. So here's another thing I saw.
And then he comments on diversity. Oh my God, Matt Damon already responded. That's hilarious. Oh my God. It basically like, we could all learn from this. Like, not even. Just basically like siding himself with the people complaining to him. That I don't know. To me, that's pretty pro. I mean, you're not gonna these major Hollywood players, dude. They've made their money. You know, they're not. They don't care, and most of them at that level are like.
I don't know why.
Believe themselves to be deities.
Why would you listen to them? They're so out of touch of reality that they haven't known what real world is since they made their first million. And people listen to what they do like it's directly from the Bible.
One time, this person that was like, my hero, right? So I did a little Google search and showed them that their hero from the time that they loved them so much had been in rehab 3 times within 2 years for cocaine, alcohol, and anger issues.
And hero
So
to me,
so I'm like, bro, this was the person that was your hero. And pills. So not only were they knocked out on Percocets, but also to keep them from nodding off, they were taking bumps of cocaine. This is your hero. That's what I try to
hero.
tell people that love these people in Hollywood. Half of them are completely trashed on pills.
I talk to people about this all the time. I don't like the word hero at all. I believe hero is
It's
a
abused.
it's not a I believe it's an action. Like you do a hero thing. Like, hey, there's a cat stuck in the tree, and you climb up the tree and you pull it down. That was a hero thing. But when you got down from the tree, you put the cat on a grill. Like, now you're no longer a hero. You know what I mean? Like, you did a hero act. And I think we use that word hero way like a lot of people do hero things but don't live hero lives. And I think we get wrapped up in that, just like we get wrapped up in, and I see this in my own kids, that TV and like what they show you isn't real, and it's not meant to be. Like I tell this to my son all the time, like life doesn't happen like it does on TV. Like there's not something going on 24/7, 365 days. Boredom is a natural occurrence. Like there will be times in time that you will have absolutely nothing to do, and that is normal. What is not normal is you seeing it on TV where these people are consistently going and going and going. And now we have a whole society that has an attention span of less than 3 seconds. And I can speak to that as a fact because I am taught that in my class in Silicon Valley tech world, that we have to get your attention within 3 seconds. That is how short it is. So that's kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, it truly is. Now, you showed something that I really liked, and I'll let you talk about yours first. But we both got some books that have that we enjoy and everything. Now, that one that you were showing me earlier, do you want to talk about it? I think it was pretty cool.
Um, yeah, it's So I'm currently enthralled in this book. It's called The 4 Hour Work Week, by what's his name? Timothy Ferriss here. Um, and it's pretty cool. So I guess this will go a little bit more into my background. But I spent 20 years in big box retail management. If any of you guys know what that's like, I'm sorry. But
Probably most.
Zach's experience probably in Afghanistan was probably a lot safer than mine was on Black Friday.
I
But
managed three GNCs for 3 years.
Yeah,
I know.
I work.
I
I worked
know.
at. I worked at the number one electronic consumer retailer in the world. So you guys can put that together and know where it is. They wear blue shirts. But I did that for 20 years, and at when I turned 40, I told myself that this wasn't the life for me and I needed to change. And I needed to do something different where I could be home with my kids because obviously they're not getting taught, they're being indoctrinated. So I need to be home, to cancel out what they're learning in school with the real stuff they need to be learning. I told my son the other day, the only thing I really want you to learn in school, buddy, is how to read and write, and listen to people and make your work as fast as possible. And that's funny because that's what this book is all about. So the 4 Hour Work Week, talks about getting your stuff done, prioritizing correctly, um, getting your stuff done. Don't procrastinate. Just get it done and be done with it. And use sources that are available to you that most people don't think of. So one of them in the book is called outsourcing. And as a digital creator, I do this all the time, and I use people in different countries, and I use people in America as well. I just find that giving my $50 to somebody in India will go a lot longer for that person in India than it will to $50 to some kid that lives in downtown LA where he goes out and buys McDonald's and there goes his $50. Um, so I don't look at outsourcing to be a negative experience. I'm not taking jobs away from Americans. Who wants to be my personal assistant? I'm nobody right
Can
now,
I
but
interject one thought real quick while I'm thinking about it?
yeah,
On that notion, I have found it near impossible to find any type of. I've had to fire multiple American, um, you know, digital artists, logo makers. The name is just completely escaping me, but web designers and all that kind of stuff because they were liberal. They wouldn't
yep.
even, and unfortunately, when you're a middle person or even on the right, or even if you slightly disagree with them, you can't trust them. They destroy your work, or they do something to mess with your site, or and then I went through. I can't tell you how many people to get a logo,
Right.
and they would do something really stupid and send me the work and just tell me to fuck off. I'm like, okay, this is 2021.
And
So
being in that
unfortunately,
field,
that industry is dominated.
it's the hardest thing, man. We're few and far between. Uh, just being on this podcast probably limits my jobs as it is. I mean, I'll be honest about it, but it's funny because I'm looking into that tech field, but I'm looking into Patriot companies. I want to find Patriot companies to work for because they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a lot of Patriot companies. You can see them in your community. It's just how do we link them all together? Because once we do that, then it's unstoppable. Then it is unstoppable. And when people that think alike work together, everything gets done. It just makes it so much more enjoyable as well. So that's the key. How do we do this? How do we get Patriots where they can get connected in the fields? Because it's not only that we don't have Patriots in the tech field. Let's be real. We don't have enough Patriot teachers like in our schools.
No
Let's
kidding.
we don't have enough Patriot, I don't know,
I
retail
know how.
managers.
Right. I know what you mean there too. I know several parents that just went ahead and kept their kids home after the COVID incident and just said to hell with it. I'm teaching my kid better right now.
Yeah, and I agree that, but there's and we have to remember being patriots were typically middle or Republican conservative type, so we still work. Um, we have a
You can't
most
exactly go march on DC and for everything that you want to whenever freaking you're like a high or even management of some sort and you have a job and a family and everything else. The
and what they
ultimate
don't
control,
and
consumerism.
And I think going back to what we started our talk about too was that lockdown when you think, September, we got all schools going back here in August. All
Yeah.
American schools start back in August. I'm pretty sure all of them do. Um, and we see the COVID. Now they're pushing it that the kids are getting the COVID. So the easy way to start the lockdown, so they're going to lock us down and then they're going to evict us. Think about this. So they're going to lock us down easily by number one, they're going to have the kids not being able to go to
Remember what
school.
they just posted up, though? Remember they said that they want to extend the eviction
Right.
thing, but that is only just to freaking lube up them sliding in that lockdown, but it doesn't say how long the lockdown it will be, and it doesn't say what the extension will be, because there are landlords that are going to go, wait, I'm going to have to go how long without getting paid?
Now, remember, now they're saying in this lockdown too that the vaccinated. Why did you just get vaccinated if now you're locked down and
And
you got
then
to
go
wear a
through
mask?
all that
Yep.
danger of the vaccine, because regardless if you want to believe it's perfectly safe or not, the stats are there, and even the left are posting the stats. What did they show? What was that? Boston, or where the heck was that? Where like 78% or whatever were actually. Uh,
Massachusetts, 75% were yeah, and they're calling them what comeback cases or breakthrough cases. But this is called shedding. So they know that it is shedding now. But this is all a joke. and it's control, and it's the whole reason they're doing it is because the person that is in office shouldn't be there, and they're trying to bring. But it's not even just America. Like, stop. We got to stop thinking that it's just America going through this. Like, they're
Yeah.
only showing you America. Every country
Australia's
around.
putting up the big fight. I saw that interview with the guy that said, you know, you're the one in charge of taking your butt to the doctor. You're the one in charge of your own health. I thought that
The,
was amazing. I wish I would have seen who that was.
but this is going worldwide, and you got to take yourself back and look at the big picture. So it's not just America. It's not just Europe. It's the entire world. There's presidents in African countries that are being killed because they won't give their people the vaccine. So the big picture, let's look back.
The
Why? Why?
Madagascar guy
Why?
is the only one
Why?
I think lived.
Everybody. And it's because they're trying to usher in that one world. Everybody's going to have one leader. We're all going to be one per people. We're going to lower our borders. It's just going to be one humanity. They have two ways of doing that. And the first way is failing, and that's through this COVID thing that is being debunked daily now. The second, the second way that they're going to bring this on, and I believe, and this is when it gets crazy, guys, but I believe they're going to use technology to bring in, wait for it, aliens. And why do I say this? Well, if you
Uh-oh.
guys think
You're
of
going to hit him with this on day one. I love it. Bring it,
day
dude.
one, day one, so the alien thing is real. So they're gonna bring it and think about it, take emotion out of it and how crazy it sounds and however you may believe. Are they demons? Are they aliens? Are they projections? It doesn't matter what it is. All that matters is that the message that it brings to the world, people, to humanity. So if COVID didn't work and you didn't get scared of COVID, it's going to be super easy to be scared of beings that are 400 times smarter than you, that have anti-gravity and all this amazing technology. So now it's not, oh my God, I'm worried about my black friend or my white friend or my blue friend or my red friend or unvaccinated versus vaccinated. Now it's a real, it's humanity versus aliens. Like it's a movie, but now it's a real thing. And if you just took all emotion out of it, if that was even 1% legit real and aliens wanted us gone, why are we still here today? Why are we still here? I mean, just logic alone. Why are we still here today? And we know now with the government coming out within the last year, which is just another distraction and soft disclosure for them doing this, um, that's how they're going to lock us down. The COVID thing isn't going to work. They're going to use that, and then they're going to drop once everybody's in their house for a week. Oh, here they are. They landed on the White House. They stole Biden. It's going to be some crazy far off thing, and people are going to be so scared that, oh, they got to save us.
It'll be interesting. I do heavily agree that based on the desensitizing and based on the stuff that keeps getting leaked, I think some of the stuff that these guys are finding, some of these files, some of the stuff that magically they just got a hold of via the Freedom of Information Act, I think these are controlled leaks that
Oh yeah.
are very much in the idea to desensitize us. France's government already came out and told their people about what they had, and when they went and interviewed folks, most of them didn't care because, I mean, they don't have a spaceship sitting above them right now. You know, so I think most of humanity is, unless it's hitting their doorstep right at this moment, they don't think it'll ever happen. And that's not all of our people, but that is a large chunk of it. So I really think at this point they could say, hey, you know what? Yeah, there's these people here. But I think one of the major things that they're still trying to figure out about is how do we cover up the fact that we've known and then we've had material, we've had proof, we've had everything for all of this time.
Hit it all through NASA and
And
other government agencies.
yeah, exactly. Um,
And then DARPA.
and
Can you find anything out about DARPA? No. Anything they're working on? Nope. But there's 5 billion patents out there, but you can't read one of them.
right, exactly, exactly. And it is interesting. I mean, our how fast we are growing, the companies that they're talking about. the speed in which they're trying to get AI to either compete mentally with whatever might be out there, compete scientifically, I don't know. That's going to be a whole nother open can of worms to deal with. I mean, we
I have
had
a
the Terminator movie in the 80s. I mean, I don't know, late 70s for the first one, right? So,
I think I think the funny thing is a lot of people about the Great Reset. The Great Reset is gonna happen. We're at that time. It's now like you're too naive to be like, oh, we're gonna stop the Great Reset. No, you're not. You're not gonna stop the Great Reset. Right now, what we're doing is controlling the outcome of the Great Reset. We get to choose right now how we want to live this Great Reset because technology is already here. The work field, the workforce has already changed. AI is here. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's here. It runs probably 60% of businesses today. Um, it's not going to go away. It's just going to get more involved. I work in that field. I know what it does. I know what we're designing for.
oh my
Brain,
god, this great reset.
the brain face interface. We
Neuralink
have,
with Elon?
yeah, that's just one company. Um, D-Wave quantum computers now can be the size of a laptop. Like, so that's big changes. And once quantum computing comes full force and blockchain takes full over, the world changed. It's no longer what it used to be. So we have to now start learning how to make sure that the Patriots are in control of the Great Reset. And how do we do that? And it's 100% by making sure we're learning this technology, and staying at the forefront of it.
I'm looking at this great reset, and the guy suspiciously doesn't. He's somewhat Caucasian, but I would say that it's enough to show that this is like massive trolling. Because, yeah,
The Great
the
Reset,
Great
they're all
Reset
talk.
looks like a very, even racially driven.
Well, it talks about depopulation, and if
Oof.
you look if you look at, they wanted to take 300 million people off of the face of the planet, and then you look at how many people are getting vaccinated right now. It's super scary, man, and a lot of coincidences. And I
They
don't know, there
basically
was a,
say they're pushing for complete lockdown. Their first sentence, the pause during lockdown created by the pandemic resulted in a 7% decrease in global emissions in 2020. The UN states that we need a decrease of 7.6% every year until 2030 to avoid climate and ecological disaster. Explain to me what happens after 2030? What 2030 do we all of a sudden get to go back to being the filthy bastards that we were?
yeah, yeah, I don't know why. I don't know
2030
what.
seems to be the big date. Elon Musk says 2030 will be the biggest year for a lot of us in this age because of AI. I keep seeing this 2030 date.
Yep, and it's crazy. Uh, trying to find. Have you seen recently too about this, about FEMA and FEMA maps? Like, I know they're talking, there's maps, they've already broken us down into 7 sections. I've seen around, I'm trying to,
FEMA flood maps,
not, yeah, but they're
zone
talking about,
mapping, zone mapping. There it is. They're saying that it's flood, but it's definitely zone mapping is what they're saying, and it's multiple sources that are talking about this that you're talking about.
yeah, so what's going on with the FEMA thing?
Flood
Why are
zone.
they,
What flood zone am I in? And this is for across the country.
and then also, if you look up, Biden's bringing in the UN.
Remember I posted an article about the UN vehicles that are sitting right there at the old big pharma place.
Yeah, but he's giving them access now. Like he's letting them do some independent audit, or, of the laboratory or something. I don't know. But once they're here, man.
They
I don't know.
are.
I'm glad they wear
See
blue
that
helmets.
that is what you need to worry about. The human condition does not apply to foreign military assets coming here that don't give a shit about America. Those are the people you want to worry about. You want to worry about somebody, worry about NATO, and worry about freaking not NATO, well, the UN, the
The
United
UN.
Nations, the not NATO necessarily, but yes, NATO in some ways. But the United Nations is by far the globalist army. And they magically get sent to places that they have no nationality in, and they have no care or concern about the citizens there. They're detached. It's the perfect system for right now until they can bring forth the drone armies that they're working on. I mean, obviously unmanned aerial drones are trying to remove humans from war. And then we're going to magically give the keys to all these bots to who?
I can even blow your mind, but we'll save that for the next episode. I'll have it ready. But I found a video out there that the military, and they've been doing this for years, but now they're using the Elon Musk, that neuromesh. They're using it in soldiers, and they're able to fly the drone like from the front line. So basically, as you're fighting other soldiers, you can be thinking and having this drone be like your assistant. Think of it as like a bird over your shoulder that can attack, and it works off of your thoughts. Like, that's pretty crazy.
That is. And my major concern here especially is not only the welfare of our people, but folks, it don't matter what type of firearms you have. A 223 is not going to do much against, the armor of a fucking robot. You know what I mean? Like
Not even that. How do you stop a swarm of 1,000 fly swat size
and they
drones?
release this information. They show the public what they have, even in movies. I mean,
But
the drone shit, that the swarms and stuff. That what was that freaking movie with Morgan Freeman? He plays the president, and then Gerard Butler, I think, plays the freaking Secret Service agent. That they all get taken out by swarm drones, and he has to prove it wasn't him that killed the president. They are showing us continually what is out there and what is possible. And people just are like, it's nothing to be concerned with.
Well, drones are so good. You remember when Mike Pence came out and he had the fly on his Johnny Quest style hair, his perfect white hair? You remember when he had the fly on his head during the debate?
Yeah.
That was a drone.
You think so?
No, they came out and they honestly admitted that it was a drone. They put it on his head, and they wanted to show what's the only thing you remember of the Pence speech? The fly on his head. And that was all done out of design. You don't remember anything he was talking about, anything. All you remember is the fly. And the guys that created that drone came out and said, that's why we created it. Because now you don't remember anything except the fly on the head. Hillary was another one with the fly. Now you don't remember anything about the Hillary debate because you remember she was swatting a fly and trying to eat it.
And they bombard with memes. It's crazy, man. Yeah, no, I get it. And yeah, that was a mind blow there for a second, for sure. Oh, and then here we go. The challenge is that we emerge from the pandemic. The pressure to go back to business as usual will intensify. But people don't want to go back. What? What? Wait a second. Hold on. Yes, I'm really reading this in bold. But people don't want to go back.
What don't we want to go back to?
Like the business
Freedom?
as usual, and not on lockdown. These people are legitimate. Well, and then if you think about it, self-automation becomes very relevant once everyone's locked down.
I'm telling you, if you're not thinking about, and some of us are blessed or however you want to take it, that we don't need to work or we have other sources of income or this, but if you don't start thinking of ways to make money sitting in your chair at home, the next 1 to 2 years is probably going to be pretty rough.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a parent. Um, especially if you're a parent with young children like myself, elementary grades students. Because if they force my kids home, I have two. So if they force both of my kids home, I can't afford childcare for them. School's free for me, you know. Public school system's great for that reason. However, I don't want to send them there anymore, and I'm trying to find ways to put them in a different education system.
Which is
Um,
funny because they want to keep those indoctrination camps decently open. And so what do? They give what? How many billions do you think Google made off of the Chromebooks across the country?
oh, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know how much money. And those are $125 units, if that.
What was it? The top 10% or top 5% uh, were the only ones to profit off of the lockdown.
Yeah, well, it was the stores that they let stayed open. Um, here where I'm at, where medical marijuana is legal, that took off. Like more people stayed home and smoked their freaking government assistant checks, and just sat at home, and did nothing. But what, and where you're getting people don't want to go back, going back to that bold quote, why would you want to go back? Why do
No
you want to go back
shit.
to, why do you want to go back to work? Why do you want to go back to 9 to 5 going to the office? I get it. Nobody does want to go back, but the world's
Because
not there
people are
yet.
fucking horrible.
Yeah. Nobody,
I
nobody
mean,
wants nobody wants to be around other people. I see a big opportunity right now is there's a lot of businesses out there to be started by patriots that don't even have to be in the same state as each other. Um, Today's world, we got to start using their globalists against them. And we got to. It's the only way that's going to work. I know many groups of patriots not in the same state that reach out and do things, and I think that's what it's going to take.
what blows my mind, and I mean, almost each and every freaking time, what blows my mind is everything we learned from the last lockdown, and people are still not even prepared. They think that that's a one and done, and we're no longer, um, that you don't. They weren't prepared before. They didn't have stuff stocked up. They didn't have food, water. They didn't have medical supplies stocked up. They didn't have a lot of different things ready. And then here we are again, with all the warnings in the world that we're trying to convey, right? And there are still people that are not prepared.
And now remember, this lockdown's different though. It's way different. This lockdown will be run like the 5 states, like Whitmer, like Kumo, like Newsom. This lockdown will be run from the top like that though. So this one's going to be way different. And if if you're not out there buying a bag of rice, an extra bottle of water, some sardines,
Yeah,
something, something, um,
it's
right now,
ridiculous.
just buy one extra thing for you and your family at the store. Just be ready. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom,
Right.
but we know once the news starts coming out, you're already seeing it. They took down the Arizona audit stuff all from the internet. You're already seeing when the truth comes out, what they do is they just erase it and then
We'll
get
be in immediate
stricter.
lockdowns once any type of overturning of the election type thing. I mean, it.
That will be a nightmare.
Yeah.
I fully believe when that stuff happens, there will be no internet. It will be like a hurricane or a natural disaster where you'll be living off your radio and things like that for about 10 to 14 days while they get everything situated. I think there's going to be that. There has to be something has to come. There's going to be a change. It's a matter of when now.
Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. I
And
really do.
and the best thing to do is be prepared. And if you're well off, be prepared for your neighbor, um, because we're gonna need them. Like,
It's about
we're gonna,
everybody.
yeah, we're gonna need them. And you can't. Even some of your liberal friends who've made fun of you and kind of threw you away. You can't. You got to think about them too. Yeah, a lot of it's their own fault for believing what they believe. Um, but you got to give it to them. 100 years of brainwashing.
My next door
Complete.
neighbor is a very, 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 very far left widow, and I gave her about $1,000 during COVID.
You care, and it's not. You don't care what political parties. You care because you're human. And if you're in a position where you can take care of your fellow man, make sure you're putting a little extra aside for them too, because there are going to be people that need it.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those people could be pretty important that we need in the future too. So always think about that. It's not about us anymore. It's about our future. Our kids and the world they're going to live in. And if you can sit here and even think about the world they're going to live in, you can't. It hasn't even been created yet. We're in the middle of that transition now. And if you want that to be fun for your children and your grandchildren, if you want them to enjoy even 1/10 of the freedom you did when you were a kid, it's now time to make a stand, get active in your community, whether it be at the school board, at a rally, at anything. You
Find
got
out
to
who
make your
your
voice
local
heard.
politicians are that are going to be over your freaking town.
Yep, you got to. And I hear a lot of Republicans and conservatives say they don't want to vote now, because it's broken. Yeah, it's broken. It is, and we can't deny that. And yes, they cheat, but if we don't vote, then they win.
Then it's
No matter
instantly,
what.
no
Yeah,
matter
no,
what, you just
no
handed
matter
them the
what.
win by saying you're not going to do anything.
So the way to cheat that is to make sure you just put in 3 or 4 conservatives and 1 Democrat, and then you stack the chances. So the more of us that get involved, the better. And if you don't know where to go, please reach out to one of us. Reach out
Yeah.
to a Warfighter Bravo.
WarfighterBravo.com.
We'll get you linked up with some pretty cool people that do some amazing things. Um, and know that we definitely want to help. And anything, if any of our viewers have questions about prepping, what they should be prepping, um, you know, personal safety, questions like that, please send us an email, write us some notes, tell us what you guys want to know. We'd love to get an episode about that too. So
Yeah. No kidding. I was going to mention, let's see. Oh,
I think our time's running long. I think we're gonna have to wind down here.
yeah. I was going to mention here in closing that um, right now, what I want people to take from this, and we'll close down after your thoughts. Sorry. Right now, what we're going to take from this is, like, for instance, the Miami Herald right now. It just went boom. ICUs are being overwhelmed with younger and sicker patients talking about COVID. If you're not an idiot, you'll know that in Miami right now, what's going on? Cuba, right?
Yeah,
So if
yeah,
you're
and
if you're not a complete idiot, and now they work again, funny enough. Um, if you're not a complete idiot, you would know this. But one thing I'll leave off with is please do not let the current state of the fear mongering control your anxiety and control your thoughts. Literally know that 90% of what you're reading is so dramatically overhyped. If you want to see for yourself, most of us know doctors, we know nurses, we know somebody that knows doctors and nurses. Ask around in your local area before, because I know some nurses around here that are like, I have no idea what they're talking about. We have the normal freaking emergency room workflow.
guys, I have over 5,000 hours invested in COVID. Myself, I have videos, I have doctors, I have Dr. Zaleka, I have all the videos. I've stored them, I keep them. I even have Dr. Stella, she's the crazy lady who said, demon sperm and lost all credibility, but what she was talking about hydroxychloroquine, she was 100% right on. Um, so I mean, I have enough material, guys, where I can prove to you guys that COVID is the flu. I can prove it. Um, I also have 10,000 other doctors that can prove it standing behind me. Um, we have over 5,000 lawyers that are bringing this up, not to American courts, but to the world courts as crimes against humanities. I can prove that as well. Um, so the COVID thing, guys, you need to live your life. You need to do your own research on the vaccine. You need to, if you are a high risk adult, older, overweight, you know who you are. I'm not shaming you, but you know your own issues, you know your own weakness. Um,
It was fun for 20 years saying, who gives a shit what I eat?
yep. You know who you are now, but if you're in that and you don't have an autoimmune disease, you should probably think about the vaccine. And I hate saying that, but if you're up there in age, and yeah, maybe you should think about it because you're really the only one at risk. Um, older generation, overweight, not in shape. Um,
At this point, what do you have to lose?
exactly. And it will keep everybody down. But vaccinating, like in the UK right now, they're pulling babies out of the womb and vaccinating them within minutes. That should not be happening. And you guys, please do
God,
your
that's brutal.
research. I will do I will do the whole I will do a whole breakout on the next podcast for you guys on COVID. I will show videos. I will break it all down. I'll have it done up and real nice for you guys. But with my closing thoughts, guys, like he said, don't live in fear. Go out, enjoy your life, um, and make sure you're ready for anything. And if you see something, make sure you're letting everybody know. See something, say something. That keeps us all in the loop and safe. And well, we're here, guys. So come
Cool.
check us out for the next episode at Warfighter Bravo.
All right. Thanks everybody for chiming in, and we will see you for the next one.